Hey everyone! Today we're going to talk about a new perspective on Genesis chapter 1 and how it relates to the blueprint for mankind. This new take on the Bible will help you see how to get you back to creating through your full expression. I'm Liliana and I want to welcome you to Upgrade on Demand, where we're going to talk about real examples and real results to help guide you to the life that you truly desire. Make sure to subscribe now. Let's imagine this scenario. You exist in one place, always. You do nothing, but you know everything that surrounds you. You know what you are. You know what you see, but you just stand there and do nothing. At just one point of existence. You never move. You don't breathe. You don't say anything, you just are. In this story, I reference it to show you a relationship of how God stands alone. God is all-knowing, all-seeing, and present everywhere. What does it mean to be all-knowing, all-seeing, and present everywhere? Well, it doesn't mean much if you can't express yourself or experience yourself through this. Think about it. What do you do? What is your career? What is your passion in life? What do you aim to achieve? How do you want to experience your life, know yourself? If you stopped right now, in this very moment, and you did nothing else but exist as you are, never moved, never said anything else, that would be essentially the end of your experiencing of life, or your experience would be just a being. You don't get to know the full spectrum because you're only sitting in one point of view, one reference. So this is where God comes into the picture, and God is God, so he can do whatever. Or she can do whatever. And God creates because that is what God does best. Oh wait, so do we. Isn't that what we do best as well? I mean, think about it. Look around. This room, somebody created it. This house, someone created it. Someone created the layout of the streets, the foundations in these homes. Someone created government. I'm creating this video right now. It is impossible to cease to create. It is within our very nature, and there is nothing else that we can do but create. If there was anything that I would say it is impossible to not do, it's create. This is a beautiful reflection. So it shows us that through our creation, we get to experience ourselves. So when you follow a desire, when you follow a relationship, whether it's good or bad, career path, whether it's good or bad, what are you doing? You are experiencing. You're experiencing yourself in relationship to what's happening around you. The career, the children, the partners, the home, the vacation, all of it. All of it stands to show you an experience. So going back to what I was saying, God, source, universal intelligence, all of it, none of it, doesn't need man. It wants, desires to create, to fully express and experience self. We are here as a reflection of a creation, and thus we continue to create because we are the reflection of the original thought, the original creator. God lays out the design of its creation for mankind to create the way back to its being self. While God is creating to be able to express and experience God's self, we have to learn to be, to experience our God self. While we go along with this third dimensional reality that we see all around us, it's essentially a physical plane for God to experience itself. So God is experiencing itself through us. Well, why is that? What does that mean? Does that mean there's a sense of animation behind the personality, behind the emotions and the feelings? There is an original animation behind every human. And this animation is experiencing itself while we, the ego, the construct of the illusion of what we see exist, and man, is it very real. We get to go back to our being. So while the creator got bored just being, oh wait, we're the creator too, in a different perspective, we, the created and a reflection of the creator, got a little lost in the experience. All right, let's take it back to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. God produced a reality for self-awareness, consciousness to manifest itself. And this reality speaks of our higher self, which would be the Christ self, the self that recognizes and is aware that it is God, and the lower self. So the lower self is the physical, third dimensional aspect of who we are. And so I say third dimensional because that's what we live in. We have an X, Y, and Z plane in which we experience everything. And internally, we experience this through our emotions, our sensations. Our senses give and feed into the experience. So while our third dimensional self is caught up in this 3D aspect, our higher self, which is our higher emotion, love, intuition, wisdom, this part of ourself is where we aim to seek and know more and expand in awareness and expand in consciousness to see more of who we are, our identity behind the scenes. In movies, you have actors, right? What are they creating? They're creating an experience through a character. So they take on the emotions, the feelings, the sensations that they believe this character would have, and they live their experience through that character. Essentially, this is what we have with ourselves. We have our individual identity, which is the higher self, and then the personality that we take on, which is our lower self. And so tying it back to Christ, Jesus, through our lower self, Christ is crucified. And through our higher self, Christ is risen, resurrected. So this resurrection doesn't stand alone for just Jesus. So Christ is an example, is a guide to show that to know yourself means to ascend into a higher state of being. Everything about us is evolving. The one thing that seems to be left out here often is the spiritual evolution. So while you're evolving as a person in this experience, you are evolving also as a spiritual being. Through religions, many have held the strong notion that heaven is a place to look forward to when we die physically, and held on to the right doctrines or beliefs. So as long as you believe what you're supposed to believe, you're gonna go to heaven. So let's take a little bit of a different perspective. Let's say that heaven is not way out there, something to attain outside of you, but heaven is already within you. What does that mean? Well, if heaven is within you, then all you need to do to access heaven is go within. This is where meditation is such a valuable tool in being able to discover and remember more of who you are. And remember, the expansion of awareness is what allows you to release this idea that somehow life is happening to you, you are a victim of it, and that you are not in control of anything going on around you, when ultimately, if you are the creator of your experience, you're in control of all of it. So the kingdom of heaven is already within. There is no there to attain. No place to go after death that signifies your worthiness to stand with God. The realization that must occur is that God is already within us and we already stand with God. There is only one thing that must occur. You must realize within yourself that is who you are. This is the truth to the identity of your highest self. You are integrated with God and there is no separation. The separation is the veil of forgetting. It is what allows us to go back to that knowing. It is part of the experience. Heaven and earth universally symbolize spirit or energy and matter. This exact concept is proven through quantum physics. That thoughts, energy-directed, focused energy, create the matter, the experience around you. This is why you see the expression of your internal state manifested in your physical reality. So basically, you are feeding the feedback loops that create the experience you are having. Whether that is a manifestation of illness within yourself, which if you go and read Dr. Joe Dispenza's stuff, you're gonna see so many real life examples and experiences of people who were able to shift their state of being. And in doing that, they're able to completely change their experience with illness. So it looks like sometimes real life experiences and examples can make a difference, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's just a sense of pushing yourself toward discomfort and seeing what else you can find out. Let me draw a little diagram to show you. So here's you. You live here. That's you right now. Your experience, your awareness, and how you see yourself and know yourself is fully immersed in this very experience, completely in the moment of this third dimensional reality. But let's say that expands a little bit and you have this experience here. And yet again, your awareness grows and you have this experience here. And then you open up your mind to greater possibilities. And then here we go. Here's an experience over here. And the thing is that this circle can keep going on into infinity of what you're able to learn about yourself and through your experiences. So here's you. As you've grown now, you don't just live here anymore. You actually expanded, so you live through all of this. So as this circle expands outward through experience and awareness and consciousness, you're actually discovering what's right at the center, the original thought. So now you have a new lens to show you toward yourself, what is happening down deep at the core. So let's go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. And the earth, the matter, was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Without form and void indicate the matter, the potential for what could be, the subconscious, tying it back to Adam and Eve and the conscious and subconscious mind. Here you have the subconscious. Here's where manifestation will create in the physical plane. So water has yet to be formed into matter, and it lives with a sense of chaos. And I'll give you a great example of this. Young kids. So young children, if you've been around them, their energy has not learned to be directed and formed in a way where it is creating something constructive yet, I guess, according to what your perspective of constructive would be. So when a child learns to sit still, focus, and let's say read and write, that's when you see that energy, this matter, this chaos, this potential starts taking a form and shape through that conscious creation. All right, let's jump to Genesis chapter 1, verse 3. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. So one important note to take here is that when God is speaking about light here, he's not referencing day or night, sun, stars, anything of that sense. What he's referencing is the light of God, the sense of awareness and consciousness. And even here, showing you into the blueprint of speaking of Christ. So here is Christ, the light, the way that shows us how we, if we fully embrace who we are, our true identity, our creatorship, then we are able to live and know and experience through that sense of being God, being the creator, and not just a creation on a third dimensional aspect, but even greater dimensions than that. All right, so the Spirit of God sacrifices its knowingness to self, to the experience of mankind for the eventual return and union of one with God. So this is where we see the sacrifice. The sacrifice is the Spirit coming down into the human experience and forgetting its original identity. So a sacrifice is a choice. The Spirit made a choice to sacrifice, remembering and knowing who it was, what it was, all for the sake of being able to have this experience, feeling these emotions, sensing these sensations, and knowing the full spectrum of who we are. And another reflection of where we see this is our self-limiting beliefs. So the things that we don't know about ourselves, the shadow side, a self-limiting belief could be anything that keeps you from being able to progress and advance in your experience in life. It's easy enough to see where someone just doesn't think they're intelligent enough, smart enough, confident enough, beautiful enough. And the thing is that we are not aware of what we are not aware of. So the things that are your reactionary tendencies, you don't even know you do them. You aren't aware of it. When you realize it, it gives you the option to continue in that path or to redirect toward a new course. So once you start peeling away those limiting beliefs, these old frameworks, these inherited frameworks that you've had through life, through your experience, once you start peeling away at them and you start expanding in your awareness, you start expanding in your ability to experience that spiritual side of who you are, that truth of the essence of who you really are beyond the illusion. So the Spirit is to consciousness as matter is to subconscious. And man is the experience for God to fully express himself. But the goal of man is to go back to remembering the sense of being. Once man knows how to be and remembers who he is, he can go to create consciously. And man creates his experiences as well to fully express who he is. And when you know who you are through your experiences, so you just continue to create more and more conscious experiences, it is a ripple effect. And it goes out and it continues to affect. So when you're having children from a very conscious perspective and mindset, you are guiding these children to know and remember who they are and to create conscious experiences. And so that's what they'll do, is create conscious experiences. If you create a company, a business centered around conscious creation, what you're doing is you're creating a product that allows people to experience a conscious creation. This just keeps going and it feeds down and it continues. And not just impact in your life, but impact in the lives of the people around you, impact in your children's lives, in your partner's life, in your friends' lives, in the world. So let's go back and tie this back around to this. The Creator creates to experience itself. And within its creation, it lays out a blueprint for man to go back into knowing who we are. And when you know who you are, You create from knowing that you are in charge of your entire experience, your entire life. And like I said, you can take this back as far as you want. So essentially, you could have designed this experience for yourself because there were obstacles you wanted to have. There was things you wanted to overcome. There was parts of yourself you wanted to express and know. So to only be, the opportunity to express and experience is missed. That's why if God just was in its being and never created, you wouldn't be experiencing this opportunity to literally make whatever you want happen in your life. There's nothing that stops you, no circumstance, no obstacle, because the thing is, there are opportunities, and that's the shift. That's the shift in perspective that allows everything to be an opportunity and a choice to create whatever you want. The sky's the limit. To only experience and be fully immersed in experience, you miss the opportunity to expand and be. So when you're caught up in what's happening around you, and it feels so very real because our senses and our emotions and our feelings guide us to that, you miss out on the opportunity to know who you are and what you can create. If you want to hack your reality and create the life that you desire, then make sure to stay tuned for more content like this and to hit like and subscribe down below.